Welcome to the Pocket Size PR podcast, the podcast where pocket-sized portions of PR wisdom are distilled and applied to real-life situations. I'm your host, Charlotte Nichols from PR agency Harvey and Hugo, and I'm really excited to be joined by Carol Feeley. Carol is Head of Creative at Ocado and also ex-Executive Creative Director at Innocent Drinks. Carol, please can you define PR for me?
Yeah, sure. I think that PR is an opportunity for brands to show their kind of true personality. I think in the past it was kind of thought that it was almost kind of spinning a story, and I think that's really changed and evolved over the years. Mm-hmm. And particularly for a brand like Ocado, it's really important that we can kind of share our passion points, and PR is a fantastic way to do that. And I think that's true of any brand who's successful at PR, is kind of having the heart and the passion.
Lovely answer. I love that, showing their true personality. It's so true, and you're right about in the past it was seen as spin doctors, which I think was a little, well, maybe it was true of the times, but yeah, it certainly is unfair now.
Yeah.
So why is PR and communication so important in the food and drink industry? The
food and drink industry, I think, is probably one of the most competitive industries. So, we've got some massive, big competitors that we have to deal with. And again, I think if you get your PR right, I think it's a way to show kind of what makes you different compared to your competitors. So something we're really passionate about at Ocado is the range that we have. We've got the biggest range out of any retailer. So that's really helpful for us whenever we want to get kind of any PR articles, or if we're doing anything in terms of experiential, really communicating to customers like actually where the go-to place if you want exceptional range. And I think with some of the small suppliers we work with, it means that we've got quite unusual products. So particularly we're working through Christmas at the moment, kind of wrapping up on that, even though it's September. And that's been a really great opportunity for us to think about how we kind of sell the range and get that kind of diverse product portfolio in front of customers.
Brilliant. And do you often feel like you're living your life 3 months in advance because you plan so much?
Yeah, like 3 or 4. 6, and in the past with other campaigns, like 18 months in advance, which is exciting, tricky, and also makes it really hard to remember what year you're in.
Totally, so. No, I bet. And actually, I was behind an Ocado van the other day, and it literally listed all the different things it sold, obviously then demonstrating the range. So even that message transpires across all the different marketing points.
Yeah. And I think we try really hard we call it a purple thread. We try to get that purple thread through everything we do.
Absolutely. What's one of your favourite campaigns that you've ever run?
I'll pick an Ocado one. I think I've only been at Ocado for about 12 months, so quite a short amount of time. And when I got interviewed for the job, they were quite clear. They were like, you need to keep the logo and you need to keep the purple, but everything else is up for the challenge and up for grabs. Wow. Mm-hmm. And you're never really sure in an interview if the person interviewing means that, and they really did mean it. It was it has been an amazing opportunity, and we launched our Life Delivered campaign in the summer, and we worked with Uncommon on that, so partnering with the brand team and Uncommon, and that was just an amazing campaign to work on, kind of really going back to the basics about what made Ocado interesting as a challenger brand 20 plus years ago, and really trying to get to the heart of that. And I think it's going to be really exciting next year to see how that campaign evolves. And I think what I like most about it is that people sometimes have that perception of Ocado is that it's a bit posh. Yeah. And I think that campaign did some real heavy lifting in making it clearer that we can be for the weekly shop, and we are for kind of the kind of everyday products as well as some of the more niche stuff. That's the benefit of the range. You can kind of get everything. Yeah, definitely.
And you do forget that it was a challenger brand. It's kind of so established now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to some of the stuff we've got on the plan for next year.
Brilliant. And of course, like you say correctly, you don't see the effects of it straight away. So it takes a while. How long does it usually take for you to recognise?
Good question. I think in the past, kind of just outside of Ocado, but with Innocent and then working agency side, it depends what brand building work you're trying to do, but 6 months absolute minimum, I'd say, to see an effect, and then hopefully you see kind of the effect for that beyond that. But consistency is key with that, making sure that you're saying the same messages or evolving the messages to make sense to customers.
Absolutely. I'm always banging on about that. But it does take a long time. And I don't know if you found this agency side, you're constantly battling to try and get the clients to see that it does take a long time, just to be patient.
Definitely.
I suppose when you're in-house, you're perhaps given a little bit more grace.
I guess so, but I think I always find that dynamic between kind of external, internal interesting, because I think people talk about it as it's quite a divide, but actually I think there's more things in common than there are apart.
Right.
You still, on a very basic level, you're still trying to make creative work that gets noticed by people. And I'm quite passionate about trying to kind of stop that divide almost, and just it's creativity, whether you're in-house or kind of external agency. That's what everyone should be focused on.
I agree. And so you used to work at Innocent Drinks. It's one of my favourite brands. Often when I'm asked which is my favourite brand, that one comes up. And it's just so known for its creativity. How did you keep creativity alive and establish a culture where that was like really important?
Yeah, I'm obviously heavily biased, but one of my favourite brands too. I was there for 5 years and learned absolutely stacks. And I think one of the things about Innocent is that the team always make it look really easy.
Okay.
So the work's playful and sometimes seems a bit silly, but it's always backed by intelligence.
Oh, absolutely.
Really great at wit, that balance of humour and intelligence.
Yes.
And that was something that I was very keen to make sure that we kind of developed and evolved over that 5-year time I was there. But things like having inspiration days for the team. So every month the team could go away for the day and kind of do whatever they wanted for that day, as long as it was related to their role. But we had someone who wanted to develop their unexpected thinking. That was one of our pillars, creative pillars. So she went to an underground magic show for the day and then kind of reported back to the team.
Did a genuine idea come from that?
Some work came off the back of it.
Amazing.
So, and great for the rest of the team to see it, because it was quite unusual and quite weird. And I think it's really important to do unusual and weird things when you're a creative team.
Yeah.
We had something called Thinking Outside the Bottle Days as well. So we had 2 or 3 of those a year. So that would be a chance for the team to kind of down tools, and you'd get to choose a business problem to solve. And the team decided which business problem they wanted to solve. Kind of they formed groups. We'd have a day working on it, and then the next day we'd kind of pitch back, and then those ideas would get pitched to the business, and they could select if they wanted to make one happen or not. So we'd get a bit of budget. Brilliant. And then I think the inspiration part's really important, but equally just like being a nice human being and checking in on your team. So making sure that we're consistent in one-to-ones in terms of asking people how they are out of 10 and using coaching techniques. So if someone's saying, do you know what, I'm a 6 out of 10 this week, it's like, right, well, you know, what would get you to a 7? How can I help with that? Making sure that you get to know people. And I think that's really important in a creative team as well. That culture is so important. Yeah,
absolutely. And people don't often think about that. But I suppose you can't create your best work if you're feeling a bit below par.
Absolutely not, no.
And was there pressure? Because obviously you have such creative campaigns. Did you always feel the pressure to keep up with it or create something even more creative?
Yeah, I think so. And I went to work for Innocent on a 4-month contract, a 4-week contract when I was at uni on work experience. And it was always my dream job to be an Innocent. And it was amazing when I got head of creative and then ECD there. So I think I put quite a lot of pressure on myself.
Right.
I was really passionate about the brand, and the whole team is really passionate about the brand as well.
Important.
Actually, every single person is, whether you're working in kind of brand team, culture team, whatever it was, everyone's really keen to kind of protect the brand. So certainly had kind of I'm not sure if I'd use the word pressure, but the kind of keenness and willingness from the CMO to make sure that we're doing things in a way that's true to the brand. But I think as a team, we put quite a lot of pressure on ourselves, and I don't think that's a negative thing. I think that's the way it should be. There's something really special about that brand, and it's a big part of it was kind of protecting it.
That's a good way of looking at it. People see pressure so negatively these days, but it can produce the best results, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. And I love what you said about wit, that humour and intelligence. It kind of... It is a bit of a bugbear of mine when people just disregard kind of creativity as just having a bit of fun. There's actually some real intelligence and thought that goes behind it. Definitely, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so we've talked about some amazing campaigns. What sort of fails have you ever had?
Always my favourite type of question, because I don't think people talk about their fails enough. One which was absolutely my blunder, and then another one which is just a fantastic story about Innocent. So the first one was we won the global Look Ahead Contagious competition just a few years ago, and basically you get £1 million worth of free media to spend on the underground, which is an amazing prize. We were up against a lot of agencies, so it was a real win for the in-house team to win that, which was great. And then we got into development of it, and part of the idea was to educate people on the importance of soil health. And I always think actually some of the most creative ideas come from the most boring stuff.
I totally agree. We love it when we get something deemed as a boring client.
Yeah.
We've had wooden pallets, containers, but it gives more opportunity.
Definitely, yeah. They're always the best briefs.
Yeah.
So we're like, right, how can we get commuters excited about soil health? Because actually, for Innocent, if you don't have healthy soil, you don't get the fruit and veg, and we need that to make our drinks. So we worked with a great agency called Network, who helped us do all of these amazing animations underground, take the commuters down on the escalators, and then once you got to the platform, you could scan a QR code, and that took you to either a Spotify playlist, which was all soil themed, which I think is still kicking about with a listen to. It's quite strange. Or you could scan and win a pack of seeds, and then you could kind of continue the soil health journey at home.
Love it.
I was in charge of kind of how many packs of these seeds to get printed, and I was like, this campaign's live for 2 weeks. I don't know how many people are going to scan this. So I was like, just get 1,000 printed. Like, it'll be fine.
Okay.
Also, we had very short timings. It was a new way of working with TFL, so it was like very high pressure. And it wasn't in our marketing plan because we just won it, and we were just trying to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So there was me naively thinking, get 1,000 printed. The code for the free seeds got shared unknowingly overnight, and 26,000 people registered in the first 24 hours, and we couldn't stop it. So, like, absolutely horrendous, because you're letting down like 25,000 people, which is awful. We didn't have the budget to get more printed. I was already in a little bit of trouble with my CMO. Hi, Kirsty. But do you know what? It was the positive thing is people interacted with the brand, and the way we apologised, actually, that's something that Innocent's really good at.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The brand always genuinely has the best of intent. And I think people really get that. And I think the name as well, Innocent, that does quite a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, it does.
So even though, it was a bit of a fluff on my part, actually, I think we still got more people engaging with the brand. We apologised, and I think we sent out some free juice and stuff as well, so kind of kept people happy. And then the second one, which is my favourite Innocent story of all time, the social team at the time they had a briefing to talk about dairy-free milks.
Okay.
So they used to do almond milk, coconut milk, hazelnut milk, and they were like, actually, an interesting angle would be to do something for fun on Conker milk. Conkers are like horrendously poisonous, like to humans, dogs, cats, like literally.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Do not eat conkers. We didn't know either. The social team certainly didn't know. So they put this post out about this joke product. They had a mock-up done and everything. And people went nuts. People were like, I can't believe how irresponsible you've been. You know, you really shouldn't be talking about this. It's poisonous. So in the office that day, there was people in tears. Everyone was really upset. But we did an apology, which again landed really well. We were just honest and upfront about it, and said, we're really sorry, we didn't realise. But there's a guy called John who's left Innocent now, but a really great creative. He had the idea to then sponsor the, I think it was like the National Conker Championships.
Awesome.
Which is just like such a funny take on a mistake. And I was kind of reminding myself of the story of that before. And even when I was like, I'll just Google it and put like Innocent Conker milk, there's loads of people that have done articles on that of kind of like, what an amazing PR moment.
Yeah, turn
and
around.
That's how you change things around. And I think it's about facing into things honestly, being humble, but also seeing that kind of positive opportunity as well that you've got as well. But worth a Google because it's a very funny story.
Oh, I'll have to do that. And I totally agree. You can turn things around so much. I do feel though, there's a bit of a trend at the minute. Some of the brands I follow, and I do like them, they seem to be over-apologising. I think they've seen that it works really well. It can actually strengthen brand loyalty. But I think you do it too much. There's that danger. Again, it's inauthentic.
Definitely. And that's the thing. It's got to be authentic and it's got to be true to the brand. I think people can tell pretty quickly if they're just copying someone else.
Brilliant. And that first fail was a little bit triggering because we had a similar one with carbon monoxide alarms for a company. Again, the code just got shared on these websites where they just share like all these promotions at similar sort of numbers that we were short of. And we were just like, oh my goodness. But again, you turn it around, you communicate that. Yes. So how does the culture differ at Ocado compared to Innocent Drinks?
I think there's probably more in common than there are differences.
Okay,
I think the pace is completely different.
Right.
I've never worked anywhere so fast-paced, and that's retail in general. But I think with Ocado, it's the fastest-growing UK retailer.
Oh, I never knew that.
So it's growing rapidly. So that means that we get a lot of work to do. I think they're both values-led. Innocent famously has the values printed on the back of the toilet doors. So even when you're at the toilet, you're reminded of the values, which always really made me laugh. And I think that's the same with Ocado as well. They're always talking about the values, and that's really important from a leadership perspective. I think what's interesting about both of them as well is that they both started as challenger brands, and they're both kind of teenagers on that journey. And I find it really interesting working with brands in that space, because you're trying to kind of protect what makes them unique and special, but equally evolve them so they're kind of fit for the future.
Totally,
And that's really tricky to do. But that's the type of role I really enjoy.
Yeah, and it's so true. I liken my business to kind of almost when it was a baby, it needed so much nurturing. I couldn't take my foot off the gas, and now mine's a teenager, and it brings about its own different type of challenges. Totally what you said about protecting everything you've achieved so far, the brand, but keeping it moving is really hard.
It is. It's really, really tricky.
Because there's also nostalgia that's built up along that journey, but you have to let that go sometimes.
Yeah.
Interesting. So there's obviously a lot of talk about AI at the moment and its impact on anything, but also creativity. What are your views on that?
I'm probably 50-50, I think, with my views, which I think probably quite a lot of creatives are. So in my kind of day-to-day role, I use Gemini and like the Google AI as much as possible. I'm using that kind of daily to collaborate with. I find it really helpful for reviewing massive decks. We get sent quite a lot of decks, and it's just like, oh, do you know what? Chuck it into Gemini. It'll give me the summary and kind of my actions that I need.
Cool.
We're doing quite a lot of experimentation as a team in terms of automation and tone of voice as well. So that's been quite interesting. Apart from that, I think it's really important that equally we keep our natural stupidity. And I've just ran an event on that last Thursday, which was all about kind of solving serious problems with natural stupidity instead of artificial intelligence. And that was kind of 16 creatives in a room. We tried to solve the problem of loneliness. And I each gave them a format that they had to work with, which was kind of an unexpected format in an envelope. One of them was a banana. One of them was my fingernails. So it's just like this quite unique event where we got people together and it was a chance to play. I think that's really important when you're kind of coming up with new ideas. And I think it's really important for creatives to have that sense of play and get things wrong. And to have a bit of a laugh. You can always tell with campaigns or any work where people have had fun behind the scenes. Like I genuinely think you can tell. The latest Polaroid campaign, I think, is a really good example. I bet they were having a right laugh making that. It's a really nice campaign.
I'm not sure if I've seen that, but I totally agree, especially with the innocent thing. I think that's why I was so drawn to the brand. You could see the fun that was involved as well. But I love that natural stupidity.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I heard at a conference the other day, you know how we go to the gym because a lot of the manual labour and exercise has been removed by machines. Apparently, we'll have to kind of have the same sort of workouts for our brain if we become so dependent on AI in the future, and it removes a lot of that. I see those types of exercises and play coming back into it, but structured. You just like we go for an hour at the gym, we'll have an hour of like natural stupidity. Natural stupidity classes. Brilliant. But yeah, I mean, I do. Do you think you're more creative than AI still, or do you think?
That's a good question. I do.
I think I am.
I know. I don't know. And I think it's a great tool for like first drafts, for collaborating, for critical thinking. So I've got Google do this thing called you can make your own gems and you can base them on personalities. And I've got a gem called Lucifer, who's just like a highly critical, skeptical marketeer. And if I've got ideas, I always feed it into that AI, so it pulls my ideas apart. But that relies on my brain to then make them better, or actually to see if I agree with it as well. I think people are using it sometimes as a bit of kind of like, oh, it's told me this, it must be fact. And actually, I think you've got to take it as a bit of advice or guidance, but equally it's really important that we all use our own brains.
Absolutely, I agree. So are the gems like GPTs if you're using ChatGPT?
So it's part of the Google kind of system that we use. We actually just had a big AI day yesterday at Ocado, which was really great. So a whole load of sessions and people were sharing their gems. But it's funny to see what type of gems people have got, because I think I've gone quite abstract with mine. I've got one called like Ted after Ted Lasso, which is like a creative coach, and then Lucifer. Other people have got like more serious ones.
Yeah,
but I think it's like that's kind of the point with AI as well. I think it's really important that we experiment and play with it because it's changing all the time. And can quite quickly get left behind. So I'm using Replit at the moment you can build apps. It's free to download, and then I think they charge you like $25 a month or something. But that's been really good because you don't need to have any coding experience, but it's just a way for me to just kind of pick up a new skill. I'm trying to develop an app at the moment, which is for kind of icebreakers at the start of meetings or for people on dates.
Oh, brilliant.
But it doesn't work at the moment. But actually the fact that it doesn't work, I've had to use ChatGPT to teach me the coding to make it work. And actually that's just kind of a bit of nonsense. Kind of, I was just doing it when I had jet lag.
Yes.
But I probably learned more about AI just playing with that than I do on more kind of formal training, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it's so interesting. And it's such an opportunity, but also a bit scary at the same time.
Definitely. Yeah.
So how do you keep your activity authentic in what you do?
Oh, good question. I think with Ocado, we've kind of, as part of the big brand reset work that we did, we redefined our tone of voice. And that's led to some really interesting conversations about kind of what we stand for as a brand. We're trying to generate kind of creative pillars at the moment so that it means that it's easier for us to... I don't want to use the word mark the work, but like assess if it's good enough for the brand. And I think that's going to be a really interesting process. We had something similar at Innocent, and I think it's really interesting for not only creative teams, but whoever's in marketing or anyone in the business to understand kind of what are those kind of 3 or 4 pillars that make Ocado, and actually how can we make sure that we stand by those in emails, kind of whether it's a push notification, whether it's a social post, to make sure we've got that consistency for customers. So that's definitely something we're going to be focusing on in the next few months.
Oh, brilliant. And would you perhaps use AI to almost monitor those pillars if you feed things in eventually?
Yes, definitely. Great idea. I'll definitely do that. Okay. Steal that for myself.
Sorry, it's fine. Brilliant. And then my final question is, what is your top PR tip?
Unsurprisingly, I think it's got to be about culture. I think as a creative and chatting to any of my pals who are kind of in the creative industry, we're asked time and time again to be bolder, braver, more disruptive. And it's not enough to ask. I think you've got to set the culture to make sure that people have got that psychological safety and equally the vision of what people mean when they say disruptive. Everyone wants to be disruptive because it means getting noticed. Everyone wants to get noticed, but you've got to get noticed for the right things.
Absolutely.
So setting the culture and making sure that there's leadership who's kind of abiding by that and leading the way in that space. I think that's the most crucial thing. We've got a guide and principle as a team, which is unconditional collaboration. And that means it's kind of anti-ego and like whatever it takes, no matter what, we will collaborate. And that doesn't mean just kind of agreeing to any brief. It means we'll always challenge, like we'll always bring our best selves. And I think that sort of behaviour is really important when you're trying to do anything differently, whether that's a campaign or social, any kind of creative output.
Oh yeah, that's such a good answer, 100%. And we're told by our clients often bolder, braver, disruptive. But then it's one thing saying that, but you have to actually be willing to do the activity that is that, and
to understand what it means, because I think disruptive for like a retailer is very different to disruptive for a brand like Liquid Death, who are like outrageous. So there's lots of different interpretations of that as well, and I think that can get a little bit muddy for creative sometimes. I think it's really important that people share the work that they love and hate from outside as well. We've got a Slack channel for that to be like, love this because and equally hate this because. And that's even more important with senior stakeholders to understand kind of what their tastes are and how that can influence their bias sometimes as well. Yeah,
that's so important. That's often one of our strategy questions.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's not the same type of brand, just getting those ideas of what they love and hate.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You've been amazing. Thanks so much, Carol.
Thank you so much.
Nobody can do business with you if they don't know about your business. But nobody will do business with you if your business's brand doesn't have trust and credibility. PR is the secret sauce in the marketing mix that can help achieve this and so much more. If you're interested in how PR can help your business, contact Harvey and Hugo, harveyandhugo.com, or email info@harveyandhugo.com.